greatest show on earth.
Welcome back, guys. Today on the Con Culture Convo, it is going to be just me, solo. You're welcome. We all know I'm the star of the show, and when Chris watches this and edits this, he will see this and probably edit out. But doing a little kind of tips and tricks thing we wanted to do, and I wanted to do one of them myself. And the inspiration came from other podcasts and websites and Facebook groups and everything talking about things and not being 100% accurate on things. We're very much so about full discrepancy, being completely open, and one of the issues that I had been seeing come up a lot was credit card processors, which we all know them. We've all dealt with them. We all use them in the con industry and any type of sales-oriented gig of your own business. There's Square, Stripe, the bank ones. I mean, there's literally so many out there. PayPal here or whatever it's called now. And I saw someone had posted that they were getting 0.4% on their credit card transactions. And I was like, oh, wow, that would be amazing. Can't be possible, but it would be amazing if they were. So I know for a fact that if someone is going on their podcast and saying that they are getting 4.4% on their transaction, so that means on a $100 transaction, you're only being charged, 40 cents, excuse me. That's bullshit. And because that's not how these things work. This said group, this said podcast, whoever it may be, doesn't know what they're talking about. And I want full disclosure, and I'm going to show you guys how it works. So join along, and we will discuss this right now. And by we, I mean me. All right, so let's deep dive right into it, guys. So I use Square and PayPal, depending kind of on the time of year and what I'd like to use. I prefer Square because it's simple. It's easy. So I've used it for 15 years almost. So it's something very easy. So I'm going to break down how it actually works. We're going to do a very simple number. It's going to be $100. So everybody here, pretend you're doing a $100 transaction on whatever credit card processor that you use. So there's basically 4 steps that happen when you use a credit card. So you're at blank, blank, blank Comic-Con. You're selling. It's a $100 transaction. Let's just say it comes out to a perfect even $100. So in fantasy world, some people tell you that you just pay the $100. You swipe at the person's card or chip it or whatever it may be. And like $99.60 is going to somehow come into your bank account. That's not true. It's not 0.4%. That person, that group, the podcast, the online websites, the Facebook groups, all these people are telling you that, don't know what they're doing, period. So please don't listen to them on that. You can call these companies and they'll negotiate with you and get down to 0.4, but it's 0.4 on top of what they call an interchange fees. Let me tell you what an interchange fee is. So an interchange fee is basically when you see a credit card, and let's just say you have a MasterCard coming across, and it's some, let's say Disney or whatever credit card that this person's using, and you chip that $100 and give them the card back, everything went through, you're fine and dandy. So what happens is from when you chip it to when you get that money back on the 90 blah, 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 blah amount, a certain percent goes to what they call an interchange fee, which is the bank that is handling it, not the processor, not Square, but we're talking your Chase banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all of those. They take off the top already, no matter what negotiations you've ever had or anything. This is what they charge for you to do business with them in any way, shape, or form. And it's whoever the credit card holder person is. So that Disney card that person came up and used, is already, it's going through, whether you like it or not, they're charging you blank percent. And the average is 1.4% for your MasterCard. Visa is 1.5, 1.6, already off the top. No matter what Square processor you have, your PayPal processor, does not matter. That is irrelevant at this point. You will be charged an interchange fee from your bank, from the bank of the person who is using it. Okay. The worst is American Express. They charge a lot. They can charge anywhere from 2% to 3%. I mean, it gets up there. They've chilled off a little bit on it. That's why so many businesses, back in the day, you would always see like American Express, Visa, blah, blah. We don't take Discover or or we only take, blah, blah, blah. We don't take American Express or Discover because they charged out the yin yang, because companies like Amex will charge you more because they offer a lot more to the end user as far as protections, benefits, things like that. So they're going to charge a little bit more. They always have, they always will, and to this day they still do. So right there on that $100, let's just say we did that Disney card we're talking for the customer. They used that, and let's just say it's 1.75%. That's the norm. Anywhere from 1.4 to 1.8 is kind of the average. I've seen 1.75 when I looked into mine and broke it down. And then, so once it's done with the interchange fee, it goes to the next section, which is the network processing group that handles basically the in-between. Who is that? It's those little tiny companies called Visa, MasterCard, American Express, so on. They will literally get on top of that. So when you have that little logo on there, that's not the bank. The bank is using them for the money to actually process your account. It's the smallest fee. It's very minimal. I mean, it barely even shows up, really. For example, on this one, it was 0.14. So very small, not even, barely over 0.1%. So on $100, you're talking very minimal amount. So and then it hits that middle. So we have the bank interchange fee, which remember is the interchange fee, which was the chase your bank itself of the card user. And then it goes to moves on for an interchange fee into the network processing fee, which is your Visa, MasterCard, the little logo, whatever logo that is. The next one is your end one that you choose to use. So this is where you kind of have power. The other ones, you don't have a say in the matter. Like whether you like it or not, you're being charged up front no matter what. 1.7 to 1.5 to 1.7% on average, no matter what, no matter who you use, no matter how hard you negotiate with Square, Stripe, any of those companies. A lot of them will offer you a lot, but they don't tell you the full story. So at the end, we have the payment processor, which is Square, Stripe, PayPal, etc., whoever you decide to use. They will take about 0.3, so 0.3 of a percent plus, your they get you with the 10 cent, 15 cent, 20 cent type of transaction. All of them do it for the most part. It is what it is. You can't get wrong that part, unfortunately. So in this example that I'm going to put up on the screen here, your customer did $100. Okay. 175 went to the bank, the interchange fee. Then 14 cents went to the network processor, MasterCard logo, blah, blah, blah. And then 30 cents went to Square plus the 10 cents. Okay. So it leaves you around 97-ish dollars, like 97.03, 97.10, something around there. So basically you're going to pay 2.6% plus normally at 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents even sometimes. If they lower the fee a little bit on the percent to try and get you in, they'll typically tack that on with the higher cent charge at the end. A lot of them are known for doing that, so be careful when you're looking that out. A lot of these companies, there's a lot of them out right now. They're saying they can get you 0.4%. You'll see in the little tiny fine point writing on the bottom where they trick you into this, like, oh my God, it's only 0.4%. You're thinking, man, I can save now going from 2.6% I am with Square right now to 0.4. I'm saving 2.2%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but $100,000 over a year. Boom, you just got $2,200 in your pocket, period. And that's a big deal. That pays for, your bills for the month, possibly. That pays for, uh, 2 booths at a show, 1 booth at a show at some of them. But, that could save a lot of money. Unfortunately, that's not the case. No matter what people are telling you, that is not how it works. 0.4% is not what you're paying. That 0.4% is typically the payment processor. It's that last thing we discussed, which is normally around 1%. So Square charges 1%. So they get their Visa, that 2.6%. They're around 0.8 to 1% on top. So you'll get the 1.75 to 1.4 to 1.75, 1.8% for that interchange fee. The next thing is the processor, which is very minimal. We're talking 10 cents to 15 cents, really. So nothing on a $100 transaction. Boom, done. And then that's where they're coming in and selling you on that 0.4, which can be good. This is me saying, this is me not saying, hey, don't do nothing about it, you're screwed. No, you can go and negotiate with them. That's the part we have to negotiate. So a lot of them, it's about 1%. And, at your Square right now, they're charging 2.6 with 10 cents fee per transaction. So on that, $100 that we discussed earlier, they got that, you're basically getting $97 in blank cents. You're really trying to keep it under 3%. It's hard sometimes. American Express, you're always going to pay more. They don't show you that, but you do. If you notice, if you guys go through and you see someone that paid $100 on a American Express card, it will be more. It'll probably be 96.75 or something. It's minimal. We're talking less than 1%, 0.5%, but that does add up. As of right now, as of today, okay, obviously these things can change, but the going rate for Square, now this is what we call a flat rate. You have interchange rate, you have other rates that you can use. Flat rate is the best for you and I, more than likely, unless you're doing 20, 30, 50 grand a month, then you can do into more subscription based or interlock based. But I don't recommend those, just for me personally. If you are doing those kind of numbers, you should be already calling Square, PayPal, whoever you're currently using, and just straight up renegotiating their flat fee with them. And most of them will do it to keep your business. And you should absolutely, and I've seen this mentioned in other podcasts and Facebook groups, that you should use them against each other. You absolutely should. Whoever said that, yes, 100% agree with you. You should absolutely use Square to get cheaper on PayPal to get back to Square, and just leverage them back and forth with each other. And if you make more sales, say you have $100,000, $200,000 in sales a year, you can't negotiate with each other. If you're using Square right now, go to PayPal, and then when they offer you to bump it down to 0.6, you take it to them to 0.5, and you get down to eventually 0.4, and now your transaction, instead of it being 2.6, is going to be 1.9, because you're not taking off that interchange fee like we talked about earlier. But if you can knock it down to 2.6 and get rid of the 10 cents and get it to 2%, that 0.7 is a big deal. It really is. It will add up. I promise you. You'll see a significant bonus at the end of the year of a couple $1,000 more than likely in your pocket for just taking a couple hours. I will say this, they are not easy to get a hold of. They do not make it easy for you to just simply say, hey, I want to pay less. You're not going to get that. Typically, you got to email, chat with them. Typically, if you just do a normal rep, they're not going to be able to do that. So I would go to a client service representative or a retention service representative. Go on the Square websites, go on PayPal, whatever processor you're currently using, and look up whoever you're using, whoever you're kind of trying to either leverage or move to, and look up to see all the customer service levels, and look at the one that's like your retention services, your clientele, like a higher end clientele type of name, not just a random guy. Because these random dudes on some random phone number you call. They don't have the power to do this, and they're not going to. I will say this. I have had a couple of lucks of just going to the messenger, not on Square. Square is impossible. Just forewarning you, you have an uphill battle with Square. I did use Chime. And when I heard that this group and a couple other people were trying to do this 0.4%, I was like, yeah, that's too good to be true. So I looked and I negotiated with them, and they gave me 0.4% plus, I think it was 8 cents or no, yeah, 6 cents, 6 cents per transaction. And I said, you know what, that's lower than what I'm paying now. So I averaged that out, and I accepted it, signed all paperwork, everything. And I did that $100 transaction. And instead of it being 2.6%, it ended up being basically 2.1 dot, 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 dot. So in theory, it was saved me about 0.5%. I didn't like the interface, and didn't care for it, so I didn't keep it. But I did use that as a negotiating power with Square to get mine lower down. They did not match it, but it came closer. I don't remember the specific number. I want to say it was ended up being about 2.2. So I say it's about not even 0.5%, but it adds up. They would not come off the 10 cent per transaction, no matter how hard I pressed on them. They definitely like that number. I assume that's probably where they're making a majority of their money. It's kind of like that, when you go fill up a gas, it's $2.99.9 on the gallon, that 9/10 of a cent they get you. But so, definitely recommend doing that. The Square, the Stripes, the PayPals. As of today, it's 2.6 with a 10 cent per swipe transaction for Square. Stripe is 2.7 with 5 cents. So a little higher on the percent, a little less on the thing. If you're using a higher amount, like $100 example that we used, it's cheaper to go with Square so far. And then they have PayPal, which is a flat 2.7, which is what I had. They would not negotiate with me at all. But they didn't have the cent fee, which, unlike if you guys are selling mini Lego figs or, craft type of stuff, like $5, $10, $7, 3 for 10, kind of deals, I would move away from that cents transaction, that 10 cents, 5 cents, 15 cents, to try and get a lower percent, because a lot of times you are paying more overall, and run the numbers on your own, guys. There's a lot of simulators, calculators. I mean, just figure it out. Look at it. It's your business. You have to look into these things to make sure you're not overpaying for something that you control. For a smaller amount, I recommend PayPal because they're 2.7. It's higher. Yes, it's higher than a lot of other ones, but not having the percent, that extra 10 cents, 5 cents, whatever, added on a $8 transaction. I mean, that's a lot. That's, 1% on a $10 transaction. Whereas a PayPal is 2.7%. Well, if you add the numbers on a $10 transaction, 2.7 significantly better than 2.6 plus 10 cents. So do the math, see what it is. If you're doing a higher amount like me, let's say you're doing $100 average, $65 average, $50 average, I would probably lean more towards Square. I do think they are a better and more simpler thing. They've gotten a lot better with some of the things that they really sucked at pre-COVID. I've been using them for a long time. The amount of chargebacks that I got at bigger shows was insane. New York Comic Con one year, I think I had over $1,400 in chargebacks on like 15 transactions. It was terrible. Square had my side on 0. There was a gentleman, and if you ever see you again, I swear, frustrating. I know exactly who he is. He follows us on Instagram. He posted a picture with us, with the artwork and everything, holding it next to him, with the exact 3 pieces that he bought. I even had it in the inventory with the names and everything. And he said he didn't buy it. Now, mind you, this was a $150 transaction. And, I screenshotted everything. I sent him the Square, everybody, on Square, the banks, everything that did it. And they took his side and said he never made the purchase. So that was frustrating. Since COVID, for some reason, around 2021, 2022, I think they just kind of shifted their mentality a little bit more and started actually looking into these things. And I assume they probably had so many negative feedbacks that they ended up ramping up that resource, which is good, because we get screwed as vendors a lot of the times where customers are like, yeah, I didn't buy it. Sorry. Oh, I never received that. Oh, I never blah blah. Okay, sure. Like 90% of the time, it's bullshit. You weren't double charged. You weren't overcharged. You weren't, no. Us vendors and artists, everything. Honestly, we run a small business and we're very serious about this stuff. We're not looking to screw anybody over, just period. And it just doesn't make sense to me that they would take the side of the person 90% of the time. So I'm glad that they adjusted that. I've had, I think, 6 in the last few months. Not crazy, very small transactions, $20 here. Someone said they didn't buy a ticket to one of my anime town shows when it was in person. And I'm like, yeah, like if you bought it in person, you clearly went to the show. And Square took our side and put the money back in our account. Great. I think that's a very big deal. Moving on to another little kind of tip in this world is these companies on the bank interchange fees, kind of the biggest fee you're going to pay that they don't tell you about. That 1.5 to 2% range, type of number that we talk about with the banks. And they actually charge significantly less for debit cards. So if someone's like, hey, do you take debit or credit? Be like, oh, we prefer debit. Throw that out there and just see, because if they use debit, for example, I wrote down a little situation here. So, the thing on here says, always encourage to use debit cards. Why? On a $25 purchase, okay, a credit card takes 1.65 plus 10 cents minimum, okay? The debit, now mind you, this is the interchange fee, not the Square, not all that other stuff. The debit fee was 0.05 plus 22 cents. So it was a little bit more on the cent side, but still ended up being better. On that $25 transaction, your debit was charged 23 cents in fees before your Square and all that stuff. And the credit card was 51 cents. So we're talking almost double. We're talking probably 40 something percent less. And that's a big deal. It does add up, and the other side of that is when you manually type in, so someone's card's not working. Oh, I hate it. Every time I get that, I go, oh, here we go. And, or it's just not working and you got to type it in. Not the end of the world if you're busy. Sometimes it can suck, but you type in the person's credit card. You're like, okay, blah, 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 blah. And then, okay, it goes through. They get you significantly more for that. You pay on average between 1 to 1.5% higher then, because technically it's a higher risk. I don't know who deemed that as higher risk, because to me, if you're holding somebody's card in your hand and typing a number, and then they ask for the billing zip code, you have to know that person's billing zip code on top of that. To me, that seems a little bit more secure than just a swipe. But it is what it is. But yeah, you're going to pay about 3.5 to 4% ish. I know it's kind of in the mid threes typically. So yeah, if you can, always try and use a debit card. They're the easiest, cheapest. And if you have a PIN, so if you have, I know PayPal here has a small unit that you can actually hand the customer. They can type in their PIN. You will pay less than you would if it was just a credit card being chipped and be done. The most convenient, obviously, is tap to pay. I absolutely love the back where you just literally put on the person's credit card and you're like, boop, beep, and it's done. I absolutely love that. I would rather pay more for that. The simplicity of it is great. It goes through quick. It kind of feels like you don't have to have as good of a signal because the Bluetooth can get blocked for some weird reason, even though your Square reader or your PayPal reader or whatever reader is literally like a foot away from you. Somehow, some way, it disconnects 5 times over and, it just doesn't work it through. But the tap is so great. I do recommend, for whatever reason, someone gave me this advice and it worked, is when you get the person's credit card that has a tap, and you'll see the little 3 lines that look like a volume signal, and just put it on the table flat, and then put the phone that you're using or device and put it directly above it where the top is touching the opposite side of the chip, and just leave it there for 2 seconds. It'll read it. For some reason, the RFID code's inside at a completely flat level for both. significantly faster than just tapping and trying to figure out, you're trying to figure out where to go and looking like an idiot, and then dropping it. Just have them place it on the table, boop, or their phone, boop, done. Telling you it's faster. Someone gave me that thing. I thought it was stupid, and then I did it and then looked into it and realized, yeah, that is significantly better. So thank you so much for whoever that was. It was a random customer. So thank you, whoever that was. We appreciate you. One more tip. If you guys are doing international shows, Square, PayPal do not work. Do not try it. You need, like, when you sign up for those companies, you have to have an American bank account, or if you're in Canada, it has to be only Canada, etc. You cannot go across the border. As soon as you go, it's going to pick it up. You're not going to use it. Stripe does have some third-party readers where you can use it overseas. Chime you can use overseas. And they pay, it's a little bit more. I'd say averages out to be about 3%, which if you're traveling to a show, if you're going to London, going to MCM London, if you're going to Ducami in Germany, if you're going to Dubai, if you're going to wherever it may be, if you're gallivanting around the world doing shows, good on you. Have fun, please make some money. But while you're there are some countries that are actively using credit cards, not as much as the US. I'll promise you that right now. No country on the planet uses credit cards like we do. You obviously have more cash typically, but the using the Stripe, Chime, Chase, some other like random bank, actual direct bank ones, they do work over there, which is nice. I would just recommend getting a third-party reader on, like, Amazon has them, but just make sure it works specifically for that one that has the updated new, whatever the last update is on Stripe or whatever. It does work. I've used it a couple of times. It works, even though I only probably use maybe 20% cards in overseas. But anytime they see you're from the US, they'll typically probably bust out cash. They're kind of used to knowing when they see somebody from the US. But if you tell them, oh, yeah, take card, great. And with the exchange rate hopefully being in your favor, like it would be with the euro or the pound, for example, in Europe and the UK, you're going to have a little more money coming in because it's going to transfer over. If you do it and it gives you an option, have them always pay in their currency. I know it's a weird little random tip, but don't ever have them pay in US dollars, have them pay in euros, because it basically will only, the market decides on that when it is, not the bank. So the bank could actually do it like a week later, a day later, whatever. But if you hit in euros, it's just going to instantly transfer it into US dollars into your account and it's done. But if you do it where they pay in US, it basically takes a minute, which typically doesn't benefit you, and they charge you higher fees to do that because now the bank is actually transferring your euros into US dollars again. It's really weird, but and that goes the case if you're actually traveling to Europe. I go consistently every year to Europe or the UK, and anytime you're paying with a card, always pay in the currency of where you are at, not US dollars, pay in euros, pay in pounds. It's significantly better. It'll save you probably about 1 or 2%. Like I said, it doesn't add up, but it doesn't add up there. But over the whole year and waste of money, there's no reason to throw away dollars for no reason. But yeah, so I think that's a quick little solo, just me. I'm sorry Chris isn't here. He would have been falling asleep bored already because he doesn't like this shit. So that's why I'm doing it by myself, because I love more the business side than he does. He didn't hear that though, so don't tell him. But yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to another episode of the Con Culture Convo. And if there's any other topics you would like to hear more about this, I know this is kind of more of the serious, not so fun credit card processing bullshit. That's not fun. But I just wanted to put it out there and give you the facts and actually tell you how it really works, unlike what a lot of other people are doing. You're not getting your 0.4%, period. So whoever's telling you that is either lying or really stupid or just ignorant or something else. So yeah, if you're listening, you should apologize to the whole world that you messed up. I know you know who you are. If you do, I'm sure you're watching because you love this podcast, just like we watch your podcast and love your podcast. So, yeah, this isn't any shit talking on anybody, but everybody should just know the full out information and just be happy-go-lucky. So, yeah, so please, thank you, subscribe, follow, whatever you're going to do. We appreciate it, and thank you so much, and join the convo.